right, I don't have anybody signed up for public comment. So I guess we'll move on to item 3, consideration of bid award for facility management services.
Yep, so at the last meeting, you guys tabled that, wanted to have some more conversation and give GSF a chance to meet with our 3 custodial / maintenance people that we still have working for us. That happened within the 2 days after the board meeting, and I sent the board an email from Josh, who couldn't be here tonight, but he sent, I'm sorry, I forgot your name yet again.
That's okay. Sally Jones.
Sally, thank you. I almost called you Julie, that's why I asked again.
Call me that too.
But yeah, I sent that email to you where Josh summarized his conversation with each employee and how that went. I think the conversations went well, just from a standpoint of they know kind of how things would work if they were to come on board with GSF, if they were approved as our vendor and that sort of thing. So just wanted to be timely about this and try to get this back on the board agenda if we could, because I think we need to make a decision on which direction we're going. That would be my opinion. So Sally's here if you have any more questions that you would like to ask and that sort of thing. And that would be my recommendation, is to bring this back to you for your consideration.
Do you know, I had a couple of them reach out about questions about your insurance. Were you able to provide them with that insurance information?
We were.
Okay.
And, excuse me, it's very good insurance. In fact, it's the same insurance I have with the company for family. So, yes, we were able to get them information on that. If, the way that the proposal was bid, if they decide to go with that insurance, there would be a cost that would be passed on to the school corporation on a monthly basis, and you will see it as a separate line item that is exclusive from the contract price. So that way, if an employee decides they don't want it later down the road, then that will automatically come off the invoice.
And we knew that going into this whole process, because when we called GSF in here to talk about the bid that they submitted us, one of the things we started talking about was insurance. And one thing we wanted to do was to try to provide insurance for our employees if they were to go to work for GSF that is as close as possible to what they already have. GSF was up front and said we could offer them what, our kind of administration gets, but it would have to be a cost to you guys. We've looked at the numbers. We still feel there will be savings there with offering them the better insurance. So we had planned on this ahead of time. This isn't something that was being done to try to, sweeten the pot to get you guys to vote for them. This was already being planned before any of that.
So that's incremental to the $749, the contract cost.
Yes.
And it would vary depending on what the employee elected.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's employee and spouse, there's employees and children, there's family.
Do you know what worst case is, just ballpark? I have a spreadsheet here, I just don't know if it's
Family is the.
the 1713. That's the incremental cost to us, 1713.
That's if they would pick everything. That's the
Yeah.
dental, the vision, the life,
Right.
and the medical.
So if they took family, everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 employees times $1,700 a month,
Yeah.
or is that a year? That's a month, right?
That's a
That's
month.
monthly cost.
So we took $5,100 a month, so another $60,000 on top of that. I mean, that's worst case, I think of everything, right?
And again, if they decided down the road that, they didn't want the insurance or they wanted to scale it back, we would make it retro, but it will take effect immediately. And we will prorate whatever we have for that individual, what they decide to go with.
That's nice.
And it's good insurance, I have it. I've had it for, well, with Anthem, we've had Anthem for 3 years now, and we use it a lot. You can go to anywhere. I live in Brownsburg, so I can go to IU Health, I can go to Hendricks. So it's good insurance.
And I forgot what was the gentleman's name that come here last time?
Josh.
Josh, I talked to him on the phone over a few things, a couple things he's talking about was the insurance. Some of it was question on the vacation, that said something about what vacation time that they would have. I don't know if they worked any of that out.
There was discussion about it, yes, and, I don't know exactly what they came up with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it didn't.
He's on vacation right now.
Yeah, it didn't sound like the vacation was something that could work out just because, I mean, you guys have like 100 and some employees or something, and,
Well,
makes it a little hard when you have.
yeah, so in Indianapolis and surrounding counties, we've got about 450, 500 employees. So, yeah, that may be a little sticky, but I'm not sure exactly what they worked out with that. We want to earn your business. We're not going to let anything be a hiccup here, but it has to be a little bit.
Yeah, you'd have 8 employees here, 3 would be on a different scale. I mean, I don't know, that'd be kind of hard to,
Yeah.
within the building.
Nobody else have any questions about it? I mean,
No, I'm good.
so is this something that we are prepared, I mean, do we want to vote on it? Are we prepared to vote on it now?
You can, my
I mean,
whole
if we don't have any
reasoning-
questions and we're sitting here, I mean,
Yeah, my whole reasoning asking you guys to do a special board meeting was that I would hope that we were gonna vote on it tonight, but that's all up to you.
I have been with GSF for over 30 years. And we clean Hendricks County Government Center, the courthouse. We take, our employees are our family. So I will tell you, these people that are coming on board, if they so choose to do that, they will be part of our family.
and it might be for Perry, I don't know. So, obviously, we're doing this, and we're kind of moving some people around, and we're gonna have less people here to do things. Are we gonna be able to cover, like, I know a lot of, picking up trash outside, setting up stages, that kind of stuff? Or how are we gonna handle that part of it?
So, I will miss Randy, all right, 'cause Randy works for me outside, all right? Setting up stages and everything, like for graduation, that won't be a problem, because in the past, it was me and Dave and Mike Springer, Miss Armour, and the National Honor Society.
Yeah.
So, in the past, when I set it up outside, so Brett and Sean always set it up inside. But I don't know, I've already had conversation with Mike about me and Dave will set it up inside. So the custodians never got involved in that, including Randy. He never got involved in that. So, if the question is, when will I miss Randy? All right, when we push snow. All right, when we push snow, but that's an easy fix. I hired a guy this year to help me push snow all day because I was missing Brett. And I think we had 5 snow pushes, we paid him $2,500. So he helped me, 3 out of the 5 times, I believe. And, you guys probably know him, it was Bobby Bowen, I don't know if you know Bobby or not, but he's very reasonable, he don't charge by the hour, he charged me, a flat rate basically, so that's cheaper than what we could hire it for. Then doing outside stuff, there's not a lot to do, especially if they're gonna clean it I was told that they would clean all the outside buildings. after an event, and they would pick up trash after an event. All right, so we're the busiest during the summertime.
Yeah.
Right? And, I've been in contact with Rodney Parks. He helped us do mulch one time before, all right? So right now, we're not doing a lot of mulch because I do the mulch every playground every other year. So this year's a light year. And the mulch beds like out front, I'm doing away with 2 of those this year. We're gonna dig them out, put river rock in like we did around the building. So that's less maintenance. And, we're planning on starting 2 of them before graduation, one of the high school. And it's the 2 up out farthest away from the building, basically. So, I mean, that's basically it. I think me and Dave could handle it, you know, worst case scenario, I don't see a problem in it because, and I hope you guys know if I say it's gonna get done, it's gonna get done, you know.
Absolutely.
So you guys know that because, as you know, in the last 3 months, I took on Brett's job. And I feel like it's getting done, you know. Am I ready to get rid of it? Yes, I am. So, I'm just being honest with you.
Well, I would think too, like maybe on those bigger projects when you got mulch or whatever, you know, I mean, you could do the same thing you did the snow pushing thing, right? You maybe hire somebody for the day or 2 days or,
In worst case scenario, we go
It's
back to
clear.
doing what we did before I started here. We would hire kids, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, Smokey used to have 2 kids work for him in the bus garage every summer,
Hire the wrestlers.
you know, or, that one year, we hired Parks to dig out the playgrounds, and Parks hired 10 football players and paid them. I think what he did is he paid their fee to play football. And I'm not exactly how much he paid him, but we could do the same thing there.
I didn't realize that you guys was gonna be cleaning the football field.
That's my understanding. After every event, you will pick up. The only event you won't if it's a Saturday event.
Right.
That's correct. So like after a Friday night, so they would, and I'll be honest with you, so you guys been doing Cascade. So last year I stayed after a middle school game and I talked to the man in charge. You had 5 people out there cleaning the stands up.
Was it Jose you talked to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And the reason I say that because and I'm just gonna be honest, there was like 3 or 4 Mexicans and there was one American. I talked to that guy, but I think he was a Cascade employee.
Michael,
Yes, that's who it was, yes.
he
yes.
calls me
Yeah,
Auntie.
yeah, so I talked to him, and that's when he told me that it was a staffing company that was cleaning up, and they was, right after the ballgame, they started picking up trash. And he said they cleaned their outbuilding too, and I think I asked Mr. Provar about it, and he said that they would take care of all the outbuildings and take care of picking up the trash after the event. Which, it means a lot to me, because if I see it's gonna be rainy and windy on Saturday, I come up and do it myself before we ever do it, because I don't wanna blow all the field. I've done a call before where, after graduation, you guys might have been on board, but we didn't pick something up, and, I got a call because it was all blowed up against the fence.
Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve by Mr. Kazee. Do I have a second?
a second.
Seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any discussion?
Brock, did we advertise this as a special meeting, not an executive? Oh,
Correct.
Yeah.
Special.
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
The one at 6:30 is a special one, right?
6.
Or the one at 6?
6 is a work session.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We can't vote nothing that one, right? We can in this one.
Yeah.
correct.
Yep.
This is advertised as a special board meeting. Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So now I'll start working with GSF to get them onboarding and go from there, and I'll get you guys a report on when they think they'll be able to be in the building going full-time.
You'll see a lot of us.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah.
Do the robots have names? When I greet them in the hallways, I didn't know.
I do appreciate you guys having a conversation with employees.
Mhm.
Just as long, I just wanted the conversation to be made, so they knew what the offer was or wasn't, and they had a chance to ask you whatever questions that they were asking me, and I'm like, I have no idea. You need to talk to them.
Well, that's what we're all about is people.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the phone, conversation I had with Josh on the phone, so,
Well, thank you.
thank you. Any other business?
Nope.
Final comment from anybody? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Elliott. Do I have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Kazee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 4-0 at 5:47.
Okay. So, small break till 6.
I got a use for it.
Thank you for coming, Jim.
No,
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You'll be happy.
I'm sure we will be. I think, we're here for a work session. Purpose of the meeting is financial review for the Monroe-Gregg School District.
Yeah, so I asked the board to do another work session. We had one last month to start looking at cost savings, kind of a little financial review of where we were and where we needed to go and that sort of thing. So thought that we should do one prior to spring break so that maybe in April board meeting, that maybe we're ready for me to bring a plan forward to the board to see. That's the schedule I would like to be on, so we'll see at the end of this meeting if that's where we're at. First thing I want to do though is, Shelley, if you would put up that first page. You can increase that a little bit. And we can scroll down a little bit when we need to, but right there's fine. Yeah, that'll be good for now. So this is something that Dr. Kaiser put together. As everybody knows, last board meeting, the board voted to contract with Dr. Kaiser and David Galvin, and a lot of their work's going to be centered on marketing of the school corporation, trying to bring in more enrollment and things like that. So this is just something Dr. Kaiser put together. I wanted us to look at not only, where do we need to save costs, but how can we bring in more revenue? And everybody knows that one way you bring in more revenue is you bring in more kids. So he's just kind of breaking down here some things. Some of this stuff is stuff Chad actually has presented to us in the past. And you can get this off the DOE when you look at their transfer reports. But one thing you see here is that 290 students that live within Monroe-Gregg School District boundaries attended a school outside the corporation using state funding. 188 of those 290 attended a different traditional public school due to parental choice. 18 of the 290 attended a public charter school, and 84 of the 290 attended a non-public school through the Indiana Choice Scholarship Program, so vouchers. And then below, he put together some enrollment goals that he would like to work toward. And it kind of shows, where could we get based off of the amount of students we could bring in. Now, obviously, these are goals that would be worked toward over the years. I don't think you're necessarily going to get, 175 to 200 students coming back to us in 1 year. So this is stuff, kind of a multi-year process here, but kind of shows you what the breakdown is for each level there. You bring in 25 new students with our current funding support, you're looking at $186,000 or $186,000, all the way down to if we can bring in 175 students over however many years that would take, you're looking at almost $1.3 million of funding. Shortly before this meeting started, David Galvin sent me kind of a plan that he's put together of, well, how do we get there? I didn't have time to get that up on the screen for you. I will get that out to everybody here eventually. I'll get to the board first after I have a chance to look at it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But I do appreciate them at least working on this right now, because we could be sitting here and talking about nothing but cuts, but we also need to look at the other side of the equation of how do we bring in more kids. So like I said, David has a plan that he just sent. We'll take a look at it, but I just appreciate that they're at least working on that and seeing where we could head.
Could they also look at, and I don't know if this falls into their purview or if it's us, right? I think we talked about this before. Like, if we're losing 290 and 188 of them are choosing a different public school, do we have an idea of why? I mean, is that something they would pursue, or is that something we I mean, like, it's always easier to, keep a customer than get a new one, right?
Right. I don't think that transfer report, it doesn't give that information, does it?
Something you guys would have to try to pull.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
But what they tell you may not be the truth.
No, I get that, but no feedback doesn't help at all, right? So, I mean, it just seems like, it'd be kind of nice to understand that, even as we market to new kids, right? I mean, like, and new families, like, why people are choosing other schools.
Yeah.
So where's the closest charter school that 18 of them are going to? Do we know?
It's probably virtual. you're probably losing kids like the Indiana Connections Academy.
Okay.
Beach Grove just started a virtual school. That's most of what I see. So I'm gonna assume, Jack, all 18 of those are virtual.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on that one? Okay.
Sounds like more to come.
Yep. Well, if you want to go ahead and pull up, oh yeah, that was the back side of the page. I forgot to show you that. No, yeah, let's go to this one. I'll get that out to everybody. What Dr. Kaiser sent.
I can go back.
No, we're good. We're good. It just showed a breakdown by grade level of how many we could possibly add per grade level. So what you're going to see here is what I have provided to the board. We got together last week as a team. Chad even worked with us on this, and I thought what would be good to show the board this time was some different options. Which, as you see there, option 3 is listed as minimal reductions, option 2 is moderate reductions, option 1 significant reductions. And then just kind of have a conversation centered around what does the board see out of this possible plan? What are they comfortable with? What are they not comfortable with? Is this done in stages? Is this, just all those conversations, kind of like what we were having last time. So I'll just kind of talk through these first, and then I'll let the board kind of ask questions or make comments and that sort of thing. So let's start with option 3. Those would be the minimal reductions. So the goal.
For just a second, and
yeah.
how much, like, I think I know the number, but just so everybody kind of knows the numbers, how much are we short in year 1? Like, we need to save about how much between now and, say, the end of, is it 2027?
What we were talking about initially, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, was that if we look at this as over the next 3 years, about 600,000 in year 1, about another 600,000 in year 2, and then 500,000 in year 3.
In year 1 is 26-27 school year.
That'd be doing stuff now for our 26-27.
Basically, we need to have those in place by July.
Mm-hmm.
But that's ed fund, right? That's only ed fund.
I believe that's just talking mostly ed fund, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a combination of both of your funds, only because we make that transfer back and forth, so,
Right.
I mean, it could be either one, but the ed fund, I think, is what, kind of the majority of what you're looking at here.
So is that the total between both funds that we need per year, or is it more when you think of operations?
I mean, it's difficult because it depends on the variable that we're solving for. So if we just want to get the district back cash solid with no future pay raises, then probably 600,000, and you have to remember, if we cut 600,000, if we come up with 600,000 this year, we realize about 300 of that in this year, because we would already be halfway through a school year. So from a cash saving standpoint, it's 300, and then next year we realize the full 600. And so we need 600 to just get us back, not at a complete budget deficit.
I guess I'm thinking of the cash basis, though, right? I don't want to run out of cash,
Right.
so that's what I'm.
If we're doing the taxable bond, and assuming we would get that money in November, and that we could get the 1.9 that I sent Kristen, all that could go 1.9 million, then we could kind of, in essence, I could not transfer money this year from ed to ops, and then we could keep the ed fund probably above 0.
But 600's, I mean, if we don't do that, I mean, I'm just trying to get in my head, kind of like, as we go through these options, I want to know kind of what my year 1 goal is versus year 2 and 3, right? Because my guess is that it probably is some kind of a phased approach. And in my opinion. But, okay,
600 stops the bleeding in year one.
that's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Okay.
No problem. So yeah, the goal under option 3 that we came up with, it's focusing on non-instructional cost savings, including operational efficiencies, limited staffing adjustments, doing that through attrition. You know, if somebody retires, looking at, do we not backfill? If somebody resigns, do we not backfill? That sort of thing. This approach aims to preserve classroom instruction and student programming to the greatest extent possible. So some of the things we came up with there is, you just heard Mariah talk about pursuing the taxable bond. That's the bond where we can actually reimburse ourselves for costs the past, 3 to 5 years, maybe even a tad beyond 5. And then, like what Mariah said, that if we do that, then we could possibly not make that transfer out of education into ops, which would help shore up the education fund some. Revising the 5-year technology plan, so taking a hard look at what are we going to do with devices and things like that. So maybe it's a longer time in between refreshing devices and things like that would help in the ops fund. Creating a capital projects plan, something we've already talked about doing. We did the facility study, so having a really good plan of here's what has to be fixed immediately. Other stuff kind of gets put on the back burner, and that sort of thing. So just knowing where that money is going ahead of time of things that need to be fixed, and planning for those emergencies as best we can. The cell tower donation, we get money from the cell tower that's on our property every year. $14,000 of that every year goes toward scholarships. So we could look at, do we eliminate that donation? We've already reduced 5-star. Dave, we did not replace Dave when he left. So right now we just have Garland working for us. So do we consider ending our 5-star contract at some point? And can we figure out a way to save some money there? Like, do we hire somebody that's part-time? I don't know that Sam could possibly take all of it on, but do we hire somebody part-time and still recognize some savings there? Eliminate the sub-calling and reorganizing the administration office. We've already had conversations about basically some ifs and thens about the central office. If this happens, do we, not backfill or whatever? So there's some things we could possibly do there. This would also include reducing 4.5 teachers and not backfilling 1 aide, which actually we have met that goal already if we do not backfill anybody, because we've had enough resignations or retirements to meet all of that right there. But that's an if. That's if we were not to do anything with that, not backfilling. We've met that area. And then you see the estimated savings there, about 375 in education and about 100 in operations. And then you move on to option 2, more moderate. You're going to see more than what you've seen there in option 3. Goal, targeted staffing reductions, potential program adjustments, operational cuts, designed to maintain core academic offerings, may result in some increased class sizes or modified services. Some of the things you're going to see, obviously, are moving on from option 3 also, taxable bond, technology plan, capital projects, all that stuff. But this would also include looking at ways we can reduce special education transportation. That's not going to happen all at once. There's IEPs that have to be honored and that sort of thing, but just slowly working at how can we make any reductions there. Reducing 8.5 teachers, reducing 2 aides. You see the savings we're predicting there. And that column, you'd see about $715K in savings out of education, about 130K in operations. And then you go to the option one, most significant. Those would be deeper cuts to address substantial funding shortfalls. Could involve broader staffing reductions, program eliminations, restructuring of services, a more noticeable impact on student experience and district operations. Once again, your budget mitigation steps there, pretty much the same, but then also that would include the transportation we just talked about. One thing we've brought up, excuse me, is combining the middle school and high school into more of a junior senior high. Reducing 12 teachers, that's overall district-wide, that's not out of just one building, that's overall district-wide. Reduction of 2 administrators, reducing 8 aides, eliminating perf, increasing the 403B match. With all of that, our prediction would be about 1.35 million in education fund savings and about 220,000 in operation fund. So that's kind of what we came up with for the board and everybody to look at, to see kind of what you guys thought, and so you can ask some questions.
We're gonna share the cash flow predictions on those options?
Yes, please. I forgot to give that to Shelley to put up there. Let me see if I can find it on my email so I can talk through that. While I'm doing that, if you guys have questions, please shoot.
So just to kind of be clear in my head, and again, I think I might know the answer, but I just want to make sure, but here's the same message, right? So like, pursuing the taxable bond does nothing except for it's a Band-Aid, right? I mean, it's a short-term fix to keep cash solvent,
It
right?
just keeps
But
the
it doesn't,
negative
it
going
doesn't
down.
solve the structural problem that we've got,
Correct.
right? So, personally, I'm a little uneasy with that. I'm not afraid to do that with small amounts in the short term for like, 100,000 here or there. I would be really uneasy with 1.9 million and say, no, we can operate on that, right? I would be very uneasy because
Definitely needs to be part of the longer term strategy.
longer term, I wouldn't be opposed to fill little holes, but in my mind, I don't feel like that should be our number one strategy. I mean, that feels like a credit card, just and eventually it comes due and you're broke, right? I mean, like, so I think that could be part of the strategy. I would hate for that to be the strategy in my mind. Revising the 5-year technology plan. I thought that came out of bonds now. So is that just freeing up other money then? Because we're not using bond money to pay for technology, so we can use that to fix something else? Is that kind of
I would
the
say
logic
you guys
there?
probably still buy some hardware out of.
Because I thought we weren't really,
Fund. Is that right? Would I be right in saying that?
I mean, any kind of hardware we buy out of bonds.
right. I guess I'm just saying, where's the savings there is what I'm trying to figure out. The only thing I can think of is if you don't buy them on the bond, you can use that bond money to now fix a chiller, right?
Right.
So you could probably do it that way, I guess. Is that kind of what we're thinking? Okay.
But that was something that, was discussed in the meeting we were in, just have a firm one, just so we know where we're going with that.
Right. And look, capital plan, we should have that no matter what. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if Chad feels the same way I do. I think he puts a lot more into his cash flow than I do, because he's been doing that a lot more, and he knows more about how the legislator has, said, well, we're gonna, get this much increase, and I'm not that fancy with that stuff, but I feel like if we don't do anything, and if we don't do the 1.9, and we don't run a referendum, and we don't make drastic cuts, we're not gonna have much cash left at the end of the year.
When you say end of year, can you just define what that is? Is that
End of
End-
2026,
December 26th? Okay.
yes, yeah. And we'll have spent down rainy day by maybe 300,000 to get through.
Right.
If we do nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of where, like in my mind.
So that's not an option in my mind.
Yeah, right. Right. Okay.
I'd like a little bit more explanation. How are you going to reduce special ed transportation?
That's my question, because, Dustin, I'll let you go, but it's by law, you can't not.
I mean, that's the
Provide
only
that.
population we absolutely have to transport.
Right.
And our special education transportation is very minimal. We run a special education bus to and from at regular time. We run one midday bus, and we have our Sanders transportation. And preschool. Yeah.
Preschool, right.
So those are our 4 routes for special education. I don't know how you can take any of those away and still be able to provide these students transportation.
Right.
Which we're legally obligated to do. Like, that is the one student that we have to transport.
Is that if it's just written into an IEP?
Well,
Or,
it's part of the free and public education.
okay.
It's part of FAPE. Any student with an IEP will be transported.
Automatically, okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure if it was something we wrote into the,
No.
IEP, and I get you can't take it away but through attrition, if you were writing them in, so, okay.
Now, typically, a student who is on special transportation does have that related service, but there's a reason. Either it's a sensory overcrowding issue and they start escalating behaviorally, or many other reasons, physical mobility issues, wheelchairs, needing a 5-point harness, things like that. So
Right.
all of that is written into the IEP, typically under a related service.
But you still gotta do it no matter what,
Absolutely,
right? It's just a
yeah.
matter of what level, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
So I mean, that number on those two top choices, that's reducing it by half, and I really don't see how that's possible.
So how many students right currently do we have going to Sanders?
Sanders and Wayne Prep mix, it's 4. 4 Minette or 5? 4 or 5.
Okay.
I can count them.
And typically, those students cost us more, right?
Yeah, I mean, transportation's the least.
Oh, no, I'm not
costly.
transportation, but I mean
Yeah,
the
that's
actual
the least
cost of that
costly.
student going to Sanders.
Correct.
Do you know about approximately how much it is per student?
50,000.
50,000, okay. I just kind of wanted the public to know that.
Right.
Yeah, we do fill out what's called a special education excess cost application for each of those. The number now that we have to meet the obligation is the first 29,000, and then the state reimburses us for any cost past that. So any student who requires, special location for their least restrictive environment, we fill out a CGAP and
Okay.
typically get reimbursed for anything past. This year, the number is a little over 29,000, a little less than 30.
I shared the spreadsheet with you.
And do we have a student that is sent out of state?
Not anymore.
Not anymore, okay.
That was also CGAP, so
Okay.
again, we have the same obligation for that student,
Right.
even though the total price tag was $200 and something thousand for the year. We would still have to meet that initial obligation, and then we are reimbursed for the rest.
Okay,
So essentially, that's the same cost for us as sending a student to Sanders.
okay.
And I will say Dustin has done a fabulous job of finding any way we can get support from grants and stuff. Medicaid, I mean, things that we just weren't doing before. So we're definitely funding ourselves in special ed way more than we were before he was here.
I'm gonna be speaking of something that is very near and dear to my heart. When we put up the well, we didn't put it up, but when we had it on our property, part of the reason for doing that, the board acted on it, that there would be scholarships given to students. And to me, doing away with $14,000 a scholarship to student, it's still education. And I will vehemently oppose eliminating that 14,000, and in the total picture, I don't think 14,000's a whole lot, considering the number of students that I've seen down through the years who have greatly benefited from that $2,000. So, just putting it out there.
Would you be opposed to like halving it?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I
I
would.
just don't think I've not been in a school corporation where the school funded scholarships.
Well, this was something that Mr. Shields, who was on the board at that time, worked it out with the legal gurus, and it is possible to do it. It's not against the law or anything like that, and, we're not very innovative on a lot of things, so if that's something we can brag about, I'm willing to do it.
What does the eliminating sub-calling entail? So would that be put back on?
That's already happened, right?
That's what I thought, so we don't have CIESC anymore.
No, we just canceled.
So that's already done.
It's already done, but it would be this budget year that we're seeing it. Like
Yes.
2026 is when we're gonna start seeing it.
So that one's done, right? Is that-
So we'll start seeing it now.
I have a question. How much do we end up borrowing from education to fund operation each year?
15% all the time.
So why are we not looking at more operation cuts to, instead of just looking at all education?
We
We
have,
are.
but what do you cut from operations?
I mean, I thought the idea of staggered start, reducing the number of drivers needed was a pretty decent idea that would save us half of the bus drivers, probably not nearly half, but at least a third of the bus drivers that we'd be paying. Yes, we still pay per route, however, that's less that we're putting into 403Bs, that's less that we're putting into benefits, that's less than we're putting into, I'm just surprised that none of those operations things that we talked about made it on this final cut.
And I wish Burnett were here to talk to that, but it seems like, you know, her thing was if you make them run a double route, you're not really going to save that much, because they're not gonna do it for the same thing they're doing now. You're gonna have to pay them more. So, because they're gonna be spending twice their time. And she's like, you know, some routes, if you're going to Homestead, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you've got an hour-long route and you're doing twice, you're gonna expect to be paid like you were two separate drivers anyway.
Well, and you have higher fuel costs too, right? Because you're gonna run it twice.
Fuel costs, wear and tear on
Fuel cost, I
buses,
mean,
yeah.
you're gonna lose all those. All you're gonna get is the salary savings. But I do think you
Absolutely.
could do it in a place like Homestead,
That
which
was
is,
kind
you
of
know, a
the-
mile
yeah.
away.
Mhm.
I think you could run, you know, a couple of routes over
I
there.
mean, cutting
Which would
transportation
get
off
something,
the air
right?
would be an option, but that's, I think, too drastic, but we don't wanna go there right now.
Right.
Could we charge for transportation?
No,
No.
not at all.
So have we looked at other schools to see, when they're doing the double routes, because that's what they do, where are their savings? I mean, why are they not putting everybody on the bus kind of thing? Just to check and see if there is savings there.
It seems to me Manette had some kind of nebulous figures of, it wasn't that significant.
Well, I think
know
when she,
originally we had asked her to see if she could cut $150,000, and she said she wasn't able to get to that number.
Right.
if I remember right, though, when we were talking about the 4-day program, which I think is not an option now,
Not an
right?
option now.
Is, I think they were saying 75,000 on transportation is the number that's kind of stuck in my head on that.
So I actually think we cut $100,000 out of transportation, and I think Manette just showed me that a month ago or so, and that's from last year when we first started talking about cuts to this year, and I think Mariah, we was going off your numbers that you give Manette.
Yeah, there wasn't a big saving from last year to this year, on the numbers I gave her, so.
Okay.
Based on like the other cuts that we've made, like with athletics and, have we made some significant gains? We've cut custodians, we've cut a lot already. Have we benefited from that operationally by doing that in the past year? Or are we kind of level based on what we've?
I mean, we're not as negative as we would be.
Well, and if I could point out, Brian brought up a good point, why would the bus drivers do more work for the same pay as the teachers have been doing? So cutting the custodians did cause the teachers to do more work with no extra pay. So it happens.
And just, Trent and I had to do an interesting survey today, and they wanted to know what our estimated costs were. And these were all operational things for 5 years, like, and our insurance had gone up 87%. Utilities, 31%.
Transportation,
Transportation,
That
was
was-
like,
it's close to 30, I thought.
yeah, it was close to 30, and then some, so the things that are in that you have no control over, fuel costs, bus parts, what AES is gonna charge us.
What the town of Monroe is
That
gonna
kills
charge us.
operations, and then you put SEA one on top of it. I mean, we met with policy analytics, and I know Jane told us, and I know Chad has told us the same thing, like, it's gonna hit us next year, probably to the tune of $300,000, the next year, to the tune of $500,000, and the next year, we're gonna lose lit money. It's just,
Stacking up?
it's stacking up.
I'm gonna ask about what you said about asking the teacher or the bus drivers to do more, and we've already asked the teachers to do more. Is that,
No,
what
I'm
is that
saying-
regard, what
this
is that
just-
about?
That was,
Is that going for the cleaning thing?
no, it was, of course, we would not ask the bus drivers to run a second round without being compensated. But it
But we
is-
asked you to do
It is a recognition of the fact that we have been doing
the cleaning?
the cleaning
Okay.
almost the entire year and not compensated. But didn't the LED lights mitigate some of the cost for the utilities?
Well, I think they, kept it from going up quite so much.
Yeah, but you're not,
Because
It's a longer
think
play.
about how
it's a longer
AT&T has
play.
raised
You're
their
not gonna
rates.
see a lot of savings till years down the road, because you put a ton of money into changing them all out, which is your cost right there, and then it's gonna take longer to recoup all of that.
And I think the first batch we did on a lease, right? So we,
Correct.
kind of I think it was a lease, so we're paying monthly, which kind of kept us neutral. But like in year 3, 4, and 5, you start to see savings, right? But we're not to year 3, 4, and 5, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah.
So, longer term, that's a good strategy, but didn't help in year 1, because you gotta pay for it.
Well, and, we may gain in power, but our water bill went up,
Well,
Our sewage bill
ridiculous
went up.
amount this year, so.
I guess here's where my head's at, and it's not gonna be popular, right? I wouldn't go to the option 1 yet, in my mind. I think that's a little extreme, especially if we're still considering referendum. Personally, I think that combining middle and high school might be the long-term solution, or part of the long-term solution. I think it'd be very disruptive for, next August, right? I think you'd have to have more time to plan that out and kind of get scheduling right, and look, that's not my forte. But I do see that there's cost savings there that's pretty significant, right? It's the most significant number on the page. I feel it's more of a cafeteria style, but I think in my mind, and I can't tell you, pull the trigger on this, pull the trigger on that. I think you gotta get to $600,000, $650,000, $700,000 in year 1, is what I think. And then you bridge the gap with the taxable bond. And then you see where the referendum is, but if the referendum doesn't go, you gotta be ready to pull the trigger on some really significant savings. I mean, that's kind of where my head's at. I mean, I can't tell you, the elementary needs another, one less teacher. I mean, I have no idea. And, I'm sure it will be painful, no matter where we have to do it. So, but, I don't see any way around it, so.
Chad, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think? I mean, you're the one that sees these numbers. I mean, what do you think is realistic for us, like?
To the options, what do you mean?
Well,
Ones of these.
I mean,
You want me to hand it to you?
the aggressiveness.
I see how this is going.
You see the situation that we're in, The aggressiveness is kind of, I look at this like,
Yep.
little, middle, very aggressive.
I think that's a great way to look at it. I think one thing that I have been asking for clarity from this board for quite a while is when you start making cuts, you have to give me some guidance in what we are cutting towards. Meaning, are we cutting enough to get you to running a referendum in the fall? Cause that's a different number than getting us enough cuts to get us to a referendum in 2028, as an example. Am I getting you enough cuts to do the taxable GO and get us a couple years down the road and we see what ADM is gonna be in? And I think the other thing that you have to think about too is you are at a structural budget deficit. So any future increases, so when we go to bargain with the teachers this fall, and we give classified staff pay raises, and we give teacher pay raises, that just compounds the structural deficit. So that's the other thing that we have to think about. If you're telling me, like I'm saying 600,000, but I'm gonna tell you that's with no pay raises.
I mean,
Just to keep cash flow positive, so that we don't run out of cash. And so, I think that's where we've struggled as a group. We've gotta figure out what we're getting a plan in place for. Because I'm hearing referendum in the fall, I'm hearing referendum in 28, I'm hearing taxable GO. We have to have some clarity in all of that. And And then I think we cut the least amount that we have to cut to get us to that play. But then if you guys tell me, hey, we're gonna run a referendum in the fall, there has to be a plan in place instantaneously that will have to be implemented, that is more of along the lines of option A, because then we have to get to 28. And I think that's where we're lost.
Aren't we already doing a referendum? 26?
I have no idea.
I think we've engaged Paul to get us to the decision, but we don't have to pull the trigger, yes or no, until June, right? I think we're leaning that way.
You will have to do a resolution in June that makes it official.
I mean, I don't think we can say we're doing a referendum until we know how much money we're asking for and what we're gonna use it for, right? I mean, you have to kinda know those pieces of data, which is he's gonna bring to us in June, and gave us the go, no-go at that time, right? But I think everybody, I mean, I'm certainly leaning towards trying the referendum. But in the meantime, I think you gotta preserve cash, and you gotta do year one cuts, no matter what, to
So-
get through.
So the referendum's every
Every
2
2
years.
On the even
So
number
then,
of years.
Even number of years.
we're saying, if we go that route, our number is, we're looking at like to compensate for the 1.7. Is that right?
If we run the referendum this fall,
Yeah.
is what you're saying, and when.
I mean, cause we have
Yeah,
to look down the road, so
yeah,
we're looking
yeah.
for the big, I mean, at a minimum, at a minimum of that, but.
Yeah, so let's go back
It'd
and
fix
talk.
the structural problem.
Let's go
Yes.
back and
Just-
talk about the referendum part, because remember, when you have the voters approve a referendum, it's in place for 8 years. And you're asking them to approve a tax rate. Also remember that that is coupled with Senate Bill 1 that I've talked to you guys about, which means that your assessed value is going to start to decline. And the importance of that is, if you go to the community on your assessed value, every penny in a tax rate collects about $60,000 in 26. However, 8 years down the road, if our assessed value falls to 400 million, now we're only collecting $40,000 on every penny. Well, over the next 8 years, a whole heck of a lot is gonna happen with Monroe-Gregg schools. You're gonna get pay raises, utilities are gonna go up. So we have to come up, this isn't just as easy as having Paul Kaiser run an estimate of a tax rate and a levy. This has to take some real thought. And so what Policy Analytics has provided for us is what we think our assessed value is gonna decline by over the next 8 years. Now, we have to back into what is the board's wishes with giving pay raises over the next 8 years, and we're gonna come up with some assumptions. But if we wanna say all the teachers get $2,000 every year for the next 8 years, we can quantify that. And we're gonna give 25 to 50 cents to all the hourly people, we can quantify that. So we have to quantify all of that. That gets us at a very important number, the tax rate and the tax levy that you're gonna go ask the taxpayers for. Because in the end, you're gonna have to look at them and say, how much is it gonna cost you, taxpayer? And that tax rate and that levy is what we're gonna calculate that off of. And at the end of the day, it's how much can you get past? And so we really, I think, have to put time and effort into those conversations.
But that's on the referendum side,
That's
which is
on the
one
re-
side of the equation.
that's
But
on
in
the
the meantime,
referendum
you've got this
side.
problem of you're gonna run out of cash by the end of, December.
So basically, we gotta make a decision here, off this sheet, basically, regardless of the referendum.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I think
I'm
so.
basically hearing,
Absolutely.
I'm basically hearing, we gotta do like option 2
And a referendum.
and a referendum.
I guess, where I would say differently is, I don't know, if you have to do option 2, you have to save option 2 money.
I think severity of option 2.
Severity of option 2.
I would agree with that, Rob.
Because
That's
I mean,
like-
I was
That's like phase 1.
I was living
Right.
in this goofy world of, well, we can just
Yeah.
dig our heels in and not do nothing, and we'll pass a referendum and all our problems are going away. If that's
Well-
the case, that's great. If that's not the case, you need to tell us. Somebody needs to say,
And I don't
That's
think,
what it
yeah,
is.
and I don't think the current rate of the ATMs, I mean, that's not gonna help us at all. I mean, it's not going our direction.
No, it's gonna be.
Yeah, we've lost 7 kids in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
7 kids times $7,500. You're down in enrollment today that we were 3 weeks ago when we
Yeah.
took our ADM.
We were at 1489 February 1st. We're at 1482 now.
And did anybody ask why?
we
That's
always
been,
ask.
that's been my question all along. And I know Melissa said they can lie to you, but I mean, are we seriously trying to find out why people are leaving?
Most of ours are either moving or it's behavior, they can't handle it in school. They look for another option. They go to another school or they pull out to homeschool or be virtual, which says, what are we doing with our services in the building that we can't keep them there and keep them safe and feel like they can be a part of our school community? We're doing everything we
Yeah.
can, but that's a problem.
Okay.
And unfortunately, what we can do is only gonna be less with less people.
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
I mean, I don't know, I
It's a
mean,
lose-lose situation.
and not to beat on, I mean, the thing, but we're not in a win-win. I mean, if we
And that's the
get, if
other
we
thing
get,
with the
have less
referendum
teachers, we got bigger class sizes, and get teachers upset because they're teaching more,
I mean, I think we have to look to optimize or, maximize the retirements, and I know we may have to do some backfills, but hopefully at lower rates, right? So maybe you're getting 2 for 1 or something like that, and if we have, 6 retire, maybe we have to hire 2 or 3, right?
The problem with that, Tom, is you can hire somebody for $20,000 less, but if the person who's retiring didn't have our insurance and the person we hired takes
Sure.
it, they're costing us the same thing.
No, I agree with that.
You can't know that.
No, I understand that, but I think you still have to kind of do that, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
that's still the strategy you're gonna have to play, right?
The
I mean,
savings may not be there.
no, right,
It just depends.
no, right, but I don't think you can say, oh, we're not gonna do it because of that, right? I mean, that's a losing strategy.
Oh, I agree, we need to do it, but
I mean, you have
We
to
need
do
to
it.
look at the entire district.
I agree.
Because all 5 retirees are from the elementary.
Yeah, it can't be that way either, right? You gotta balance it by school, but I can't tell you that as a board member, I don't know. I mean,
if you
it's
have
not me to do that.
X amount of retire out of one building, can you, I don't hate to use the word, but can you say, I know you've been a middle school teacher, but you are now an elementary school teacher?
They have to be licensed.
Kind of reassign.
Licensed.
Only the 6th grade teachers. would
But
be
we could
licensed.
tell them.
Oh, yeah, we can tell anybody.
And then high school, so I'm just, could go to middle school.
If
They
they're
could go,
licensed.
they could
If
go
they're
back.
If they're
licensed,
licensed.
Elementary's a license, middle school's a license, and then you have usually a content specific at the high school. Most of your high school teachers aren't gonna be able to teach elementary.
Is those license something that they can get this summer though?
No.
No.
It's not just go take a test? That'd be too easy.
Probably not, but yeah.
So you might have to get rid of,
Well, they could do emergency permit, right?
Is it normal for teachers to carry
But
multiple?
then they might have to go
I mean,
get one
no,
call revenue.
you're one or the other.
Sometimes K through 8 is the most you'll get.
Most of it's K through, or not even K anymore, but K through 6
6.
with 7, 8, like mine is K through, I'm not going back to teaching, but K through 6, 7, 8, non-departmentalized.
Right.
But now, the colleges have went like K through 3, and then 3 through 6, and then.
Your middle school all have endorsements in their specific area, and your high schools all have endorsements in their specific areas. Some of your middle school, high school could, sometimes they'll have ones that go a middle or high if they decide to get both, but not all. And then you get very specific once you're up in the high school in regards to your EP specific classes and things like that.
But a lot of the high school teachers are licensed in multiple
Areas.
yeah.
but not middle school or elementary.
Elementary, so 6th grade's the only, that's as high as they can go.
Any of your retirees, 6th grade teachers?
No, they would be in my building, but no, that's right.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
And I know nobody likes this option but me, but that's why I think considering to get rid of PERF is such a good choice, because we know what it's gonna save us.
Mariah, do we know with current employees how many receive perf?
Everybody,
Well, no, the teachers get turf, right?
right, so if you're not getting turf, you're getting PERF.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. How many are 100 plus? And you gave us figures on that. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Yeah,
And
we spend it would save roughly, if we matched, if we just took away, it would save us about $250,000. If we decided to match the 403B up from from 2 to 6%, then, I'm still thinking it's gonna save us 180. And it's gonna hit both funds. And again, is that something anybody really wants to do? No, but it is a significant savings.
But
And
it's
the
not
pro-
like we're just completely cutting them out.
No, they will, perf, if we get out of perf, they will become completely vested in what is in there, so they're not gonna lose any money we've put in there for them.
So then they're gonna be able then to do the matching.
And get
403B.
more, and get us to
403B.
match more on the 403,
Right.
correct? And we're still gonna, because that's gonna be voluntary.
Right.
If someone comes in and doesn't want to do that, whereas perf, if, unless they're a lay coach, we're paying perf on them, and it's 11.2%.
And the perf is not the teacher?
No.
That's a hard one for me, because I have perf retirement, so, I mean, I think that's one of those you throw it out, well, half the people is gonna be great to hear, well, that
Well,
doesn't
it's not
affect me, that
their-
just affects
It's not
them.
their only retirement, you know, they also have the 403. You know, it's a pension plan basically, which are going by the wayside nowadays, unfortunately.
How much does the board contribute for the perf?
11.2%.
The board contributes 11.2, where the match would be 6%. So there would be a substantial difference in terms of savings.
But again, you wouldn't, we don't have to, someone doesn't want to do retirement, they don't do it, and then we're not matching anything.
What's our match now? Was it like 3?
2.
2? So we'd be bumping it from 2 to 6?
Again, I know it's not popular, I know nobody wants to do it.
Well-
I get it, I really do.
The only time I was ever on perf was when I was a substitute teacher. Okay, so it didn't amount to a whole lot over the years. But if we can save approximately $180,000, and we're still providing them something for retirement, I know I'm probably speaking out of school, but this is like aides, is that correct?
Aides, custodians, all of
Custodian.
office staff, so everybody
Well,
in
we're
the
not,
central
we're not
office.
doing custodians anymore.
No, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Right.
bus drivers.
Bus drivers.
transportation-
Honestly,
transportation, yeah.
honestly, how many of those people came into it for a retirement, or it was a job? I know it used to be bus drivers would drive bus to get the insurance. They weren't concerned about a retirement. A lot of your aides are folks who are here because their kids are in school and they enjoy their summer. I mean, to me, from my perspective, as long as we're still providing them the opportunity, if, you know.
And it doesn't, nobody loses their job, it doesn't affect students. Again, that's your choice, but.
And I know a lot of these folks work and get a perf, but,
Pretty nice, I got one.
but we're not gonna cut you.
Okay, you're not voting tonight, just.
Right.
The 403B, to the 6%, we match up to, so they can, if they did 4, we would match 4.
Correct.
If they did, we would match up to 6.
Correct, yep.
I think to kind of go back, I think what you guys need to do first is just approve a cost cutting, let's say 600,000. I would say 600,000 is probably a good place to start. And Trent's given you some ideas. If Trent could bring back to you at the next board meeting, hey, I'm making a recommendation to reduce our budget by $600,000. Let Trent work on that plan, bring the final plan to the board, and just vote on it. And let him kind of handle that. Then I really think this board needs to focus their time on, are we running a referendum this fall, or are we gonna wait until 28? And what I would do from there is I would bring in, I would have Kristen McClellan come in from Ice Miller. She's already made a timeline. Did she make the timeline?
Timeline is done.
We're approaching some strict kind of deadlines and things like that. There's a lot in play when you run a referendum. There's things in play that board members can't promote the referendum at certain times. The superintendent can't promote the referendum. You can't use school space to promote the referendum. There are a lot of rules around referendums. referendums. And once this board approves the resolution to run the referendum, all bets are off. I mean, you gotta really strictly follow the rules. We don't wanna break those. Then that would start to, with the timeline, the board would ultimately have to approve, we're running a referendum, and you would sign a resolution saying we're going to do that. That starts to get the things in motion. And I think that's why we've all kind of been on hold, because we gotta make that decision. I could start working on a tax rate and a levy with Trent. I could start to then make you guys a calculator. We make calculators that would go on our website that show that, Brock, you could go in, put the value of your home in, and it would show you on average what the referendum's gonna cost you. That would start to give you guys an idea of, hey, if we run 20 cents, what does that cost all of you, all of us? You know, what does it cost us? Because ultimately, we have to be comfortable with that number.
I thought that's what we contracted Paul to do, though. I'm under the impression that's what he's supposed to be doing. Is kind of putting that piece together to come back and help us build that case, and then in June, we're gonna say, yes, we can do that, or no, we can't. And if we say no, we can't, then we gotta go to probably option one pretty quickly, or at least by the end of next year, right, because we've preserved year one. If we say yes, and it goes, and then we can kind of regroup and say, now how can we enhance it?
On most of my other clients that run referendums, if the school chooses to hire a referendum consultant, which you don't have to, usually it's myself, Kristen McClung with Ice Miller, and the referendum consultant all working together behind the scenes with the superintendent to get kind of the ship moving. But I think, I mean, I haven't been in any meetings. I don't think Kristen's been in any meetings. It's very disjointed, quite honestly, at this point. And so you guys are gonna have to get together on this, because we've got a lot of critical things coming at us. This is not running like a referendum campaign runs with any of my other clients. So, just speaking honestly.
No,
I appreciate that.
That's what we need.
That's what we need.
So, but what I do wanna say, I have concerns about running a referendum this fall. It would be great if we can run it and pass it. I'm all for that. I just want you guys to understand the fallout that comes from losing a referendum. Even winning a referendum divides communities. We're all from here. We know what this community's like. I don't want us to get to the other side of this and none of us are speaking to each other, because I have seen that happen, where it splits households, it splits families, cousins aren't talking to cousins anymore, and I don't want that to happen. So if we're going down that route, let's really put some thought into it.
I see that, but then I don't really see the other option. If we continue down this path of these severe cuts, and then our ADM continues to fall, where do we recruit anybody? I mean, honestly, who's gonna sit in this community and want to send their kid here?
Yeah.
If we don't at least attempt to improve our current situation to where we pay teachers more, improve what we have existing, I think that's all we have. That's our only chance.
I know, it's a tough situation. You're then gonna have to come back in 28 and probably try it again. If it fails, you're gonna come back in 28. And there's still gonna be scars. And again, I'm not telling you that to not do it. I'm just telling us that to understand what we're going down the path of. Because I've seen it happen. And so,
I guess you gotta be realistic too, and know that anytime you're making decisions like this, everybody in the room's not all gonna have warm fuzzy feelings about it, right? There's not a possible.
absolutely.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking for, I think our only option is probably option two, with the numbers down at the bottom of option two. Get it as close as we can get to it, and hope everybody, come out the other side of it. I mean, it is what, I don't think we have any other choice.
You're gonna have people honked off no matter what you do, whether you do a referendum or not. You cut 8.5 teachers and you increase classroom size. I've been there and I know the phone calls and I know the visits to your front porch. Parents don't like it, teachers don't like it. And I know the perils of running a referendum, but I'm concerned that if we don't, and of course, I'm not saying we gotta do it, but, have some more figures and stuff. If it fails, it'll cause hard feelings no matter what. If we don't, then we've gotta wait till 28, to be able to do something, so, you know, I guess we need to hear from Chad and Ice Miller and Paul Kaiser and get people who deal with this on a daily basis, rather than 5 school board members.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree, but I guess I kind of felt like we've already done that. I mean, we've kind of hired the consultant for
Well, yeah.
that, and I thought he was coming back, you know, and that's kind of what they were working on, and they were gonna bring us something in June.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, in June, based on the case, they were gonna tell us the tax rates and things like that we're gonna ask for.
Paul Kaiser is not a finance guy.
No,
Paul Kaiser is not going to
Right.
come to this board with an accurate tax rate and a levy, I promise you.
I guess,
And-
can you
and
take
June's
the
too
action
late,
to
I
just
see.
kind of coordinate with the 3 of them to
Yeah,
get
so
that going?
we-
'Cause I mean, it does sound like maybe we got problems there, I don't know, but.
So policy analytics will help with some of that.
Yeah.
They're already working on some of that. They've shown us some preliminary numbers, but yes, I agree, we need to get Chad and Kristen and Paul all in the same room.
I mean, because I think what I'm hearing is everybody on the board, or at least everybody that's sitting here, is leaning towards the referendum because we feel like we kind of have to at least give it the good gung ho, right? And we got to try it. If you don't try it, you know, we're really in a bad spot. So
Chad, do you think we
I think
need-
we're kind of saying we have to try that, but in the meantime, we got to preserve the cash through next year, and then we got to have a plan in case that referendum doesn't go. Probably looking at option 1 or maybe more than option 1. At least that's how I see it, right?
I would agree.
Now they kind of come back and say, oh, you know, get rid of 2 bus routes. I don't think that's our job. I think that everybody over on this side of the table's got to kind of do that, right? Our job is to kind of give you direction on what we think, and that's kind of where my head's at, and I don't know where everybody else is at, but you guys can.
Chad, do you remember what the timetable is on the taxable bond? Like, when do we have to decide if we're definitely doing that or not?
Well, I mean, the sooner the better, but, I mean, not from a cash standpoint, but just from a timing. We would just have to close on it by December. So, you know, maybe if then by June, we may, like the board voted by
I think
June.
Kristen's got that timeline all for us
I didn't
too.
bring it with me, but we do have a time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Steve's
Oh, I'm
working
sure-
on all
Yeah, she
that.
did come up with that.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's absolutely part of the strategy. I just don't want the strategy to be, let's do this taxable bond and live off that for the next year and a half, and then a year and a half down the road, we didn't make any changes, and
I think
we have
think
no
it's-
options.
I think it's good to have it in our back pocket, because you don't know
Absolutely.
what just like you talk about the fluctuations of like the utility prices, I mean, everything changes,
Right.
and that's just
Fuel
gonna help.
costs, anything, right?
It's just a safety net.
Yeah. But we
Chad-
gotta treat
Chad,
it
do
that
you-
way.
Do you think, Chad, we need to do the referendum?
Do you need a referendum?
Are you recommending that we do it?
I think you either cut 1.5 million or you run a referendum.
This year, cut $1 million.
I think cutting the 600, if, again, that's what makes it difficult. If you wanna cut the 600 this year to get us to trying the referendum in the fall, and then let's say the referendum wins, great, we're in a good place for 8 years. If we get to the fall and the referendum fails, we have to wait until the fall of 28. When we wait until the fall of 28, we don't get any revenue from the referendum until June of 29. We don't get the first, so even if we win the referendum this fall, the first revenue doesn't come in from that until June of 27. And so that's where it becomes more of a cash flow kind of issue.
Which is why I think we need taxable bond.
Right.
No, right, to preserve cash flow, I think you absolutely have to go down that route as well. My concern is, like, we're gonna get this big check for $1.9 million, and we're gonna say, oh, hey, we can hire so-and-so back, right? Or,
No, but
that's what I don't wanna do.
When we get the check for 1.9, it's probably gonna take the operations fund from negative 900,000 to $1 million, and then we get through the next month, we're still not gonna be sitting on a pile of cash. It's just gonna.
But that's where I say you gotta fix the structural spend too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that we bleed that 1.9 million off much slower, is
We're
what I'm saying.
already ahead of where we should be spending in operations for the year. Because
When you
our
say
last
ahead,
year-
are you saying unfavorable or favorable too?
Unfavorable.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
I mean,
overspending.
we spent $5 million in operations last year. We were only budgeted 4.3
Right.
because the DLGF said Bailey's all the cash we had to do. I don't think we're gonna make it through on that.
Right.
I just don't.
No, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. I think I'm fine with it as kind of the cushion, but you gotta fix the structural problem, right? You gotta fix,
Right.
you gotta fix
Right.
the spend problem, stop the bleeding.
So, I
And
mean,
then put
even go
Band-Aid.
back to Steve's question again, even if we win a referendum, remember, we still kind of have a structural deficit.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're still overspending revenue. So we need to continue down the road of, through attrition, finding efficiencies. We still need to go down that path, even if we win a referendum, and that's what every school today is doing, big and small. So let's not lose sight of that. But to go back to Steve's question, I think we need a referendum, yes. I think we have to decide what's the right timing to win it. And it's unfortunate that our legislators came out and said you can only do them every 2 years. You either do it this year or you wait until 28. If we wait until 28, we have to do some more reductions to get there from a cash standpoint. And that's why, that's a hard position to be in, I know it is. I have concerns of it passing this fall, because I don't think we've done the work, and I don't think we have time to do the work how I would like to see it done. And I think that's what I'm struggling with. The political work, the PR work,
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to our community for the very first time in a long time and just saying, we need money, instead of going to them a little more proactively to say, hey, come alongside us. That's just my opinion.
When Mr. Kaiser first come and talked to us about a referendum, and he said he worked on 9 referendums, did he not say that?
Yes.
And he got 8 of them passed, and the one that he didn't get passed, the question was asked to him, why didn't that one get passed? Does anybody remember what his answer was?
Not specifically.
Because of the superintendent wasn't on board. So right now, our superintendent is leaving in 2 months. So we got a new superintendent coming in. Nope, there we go.
That's all right, if we interview them, they will agree to do it.
I mean,
they've got it, they've got.
I mean, the community, so Dr. Kaiser said, or Paul,
Yeah.
Mr. Kaiser said the community was behind that superintendent. So they did not pass it because of that. Then I think he come back and said the next year when they went for it again, it passed.
Right.
Because of that, and I'm not saying nothing against you, Mr.
Right.
Cooper, I'm just saying, because you leave.
No, right.
Situation.
I mean, like,
Right.
sure, changing superintendents is not
Yes.
optimal, I'm sure. But it's
Okay,
also the cards we were dealt, right? So,
Yeah.
We're still dealing with a bunch of nebulous concepts here. I'm looking at, okay, where are you gonna reduce 4.5 teachers? Where are you gonna reduce 8.5 teachers? Okay, I can see
12
the aids,
teachers,
but
6 to 12.
we've already been told by our administrators how important these aids are. And I know you gotta cut somewhere, but you know, if you're bleeding, you don't cut your throat.
How do we improve our test scores when we lose 12 teachers?
I subbed today in Mooresville, and I know, particularly in some classes, how important an aide was. I don't know how the lady that I sub for does it on a day-to-day basis without that. But I'm still, you know, okay, we gotta cut them, fine. Where are we gonna cut them?
Who makes that
but
decision?
isn't
Yeah,
that,
and I don't think as a board, it's my job to make that decision. But if we're gonna vote on this, I'd like to know, what is that gonna do to classroom size? What buildings and what programs are gonna be cut? Because I don't think you can cut without cutting programs, and things like that. Where?
Didn't
But-
Melissa already share that a couple of meetings ago?
Yeah, for her building.
For her building.
Right,
yes, I
yeah.
know.
And of course, some of that was, we didn't know how many teachers, do we still know how many teachers are gonna retire? Has anybody formally?
More officially, right?
Right, so they have to turn it in, oh, they're supposed to by April 1st.
Okay.
But I think
Have we had
Brandy,
all 5?
I know
We may have-
Brandy has shared information with Mr. Provo a couple of months ago as well, where we can,
but in fairness, I think as a board, we've been pretty wishy-washy too. I mean, like, look, and we did it tonight, we're like, we can't cut this, we don't wanna cut that, we don't want, you know what I mean? Like, we all have our sacred
Yeah,
cows.
I'm not
and
wishy-washy about it at all.
Well, no, I mean,
I know, I'm
and
just
maybe that's not the right
kidding. I'm
word.
just
I don't
kidding.
mean
I'm
that,
just-
but I'm saying I don't
Yeah.
think, this is the first time I've heard any of us say, and I think we've all kind of said it tonight, we need $700,000. I think before we're like, yeah, we kind of need to cut, but let's hold off for the referendum. You know, maybe we can get through it. I mean, I think that's partially on us too as a board. And then we got to say, go cut $800,000 or $600,000, and then we have to trust them to do it.
So my question is, who's that? We know the number we gotta get. Is
I
it
think
superintendent? Is
he's
it
the point,
Is it
and-
the building principal? Who is it?
Trent.
Me, it's Trent.
Falls on me.
Now, hopefully, he incorporates them, but I mean, ultimately, it's here. I think.
And respectfully, in our current situation that you're leaving, it's still you.
Yeah, has to be, because you can't leave it, first of all, it's gonna be too late by the time you hire the next person. And I wouldn't wanna do that to the next person anyway. So, yeah, it's gotta be me.
Right, with notifications and stuff, you have to do it in the next month, right? So, I mean, it's,
I guess our question's answered.
I mean, I guess that's what I'm hoping to walk out with, is we can kind of come to an agreement that middle of the road is what we have to do now with the plan for the longer term. And we think we're going down the referendum road, we'll know in June. And I mean, in the meantime, you run point to get Chad and everybody else, and that, I mean, that's kind of how my head's working, right? But like for us to sit and pick cafeteria style, it's, somebody's gonna.
It's too emotional.
It's, you're never gonna get it,
So,
right?
what's the next step? We're giving it, if we leave here with the opinion that that's what we're doing, is the next step a vote?
Yeah,
Bring a plan
I
in
think I need to bring you a plan in April.
April?
Cause you got notified by May.
Like, next week? 2 weeks from now?
Like, next board meeting,
Next board meeting.
Yeah.
April board meeting, that's April 13th.
And I need to be, to be honest, I need to be able to post positions.
Right.
Because we have positions that are open, and I'm losing out on people who are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a puzzle, but we don't know what pieces we have.
Right.
I would just respectfully ask that if we're making cuts like, okay, we're gonna combine the middle school and high school, that anyone that comes up with that idea needs to come spend some time in our buildings and see what we're doing. If we're cutting 5 teachers from elementary, come spend some time before we do that. But I feel like these ideas are thrown out as numbers, like, well, if we cut a teacher's salary, this is the amount of money, but we're not looking at the potential for litigation that could happen in the special ed realm. When we cut that many aides, we're leaving ourselves open for a lot of problems.
I mean, I guess I would rebuttal that by saying, I'm not telling you how many positions you have to cut, I'm saying we need $800,000 of savings.
Fair.
That's, I mean, that would be my rebuttal, right? I don't wanna tell you, I don't know. I don't know what you need to, I mean, it's not my expertise. But, you know, I know that we gotta have at least $600,000 or we're gonna be writing bad checks to everybody in this room. And that's not gonna be good for anybody.
And unfortunately, when you get to that amount of money, it comes down to staff. There's no way to get to that amount of
No
money.
other way to get it. And
It's
it's,
gotta be staff.
nothing's gonna be easy. I mean, there's not an easy choice left on the page. So, I mean, I guess that's where, for me, it's just like, let's come up with kind of what the target is, what the strategy is, which I think we got, right? I don't think anybody's in favor of option one, going
I think we're in
all
favor
in
of
for
any of them.
$1.5 million right now. I don't believe anybody on the board's up for that.
How do we do this in a way that when you, and I understand it, you're the superintendent, I understand that. How do we do this in a way that you make the decision that they're gonna live with and have to put into play, and it not turn into, well, I don't know, I didn't come up with the idea, so somebody else gotta figure it out. Cause that's exactly where it's gonna end up, you know, in 5 months. Everybody's gonna be mad at everybody trying to figure out what we're doing, and I don't want to hide, I don't know, that's what he came up with, you know, I don't, you know, it's not fair to anybody. I don't know how we navigate keeping everybody on board with
I mean,
the decision.
frankly, I don't know if everybody will be on board with the decision.
Well, what do you do?
I think you have to say this is the decision, and if you're not on board, you either gotta act like you like it, or
Go somewhere else.
you gotta make a choice for what you can stomach, I guess.
I mean,
That's how it works, like in the industry.
yeah, I'll say this, I mean, we have had discussions about this going on for months now, so every building has had a voice in this, so nobody can come back and say, well, I wasn't asked about what we could possibly lose. That question's been asked, and I've been given information. Maybe sometimes not as much as I think we could have had, but every building has had a voice in this situation. They've given me pros, cons, likes, dislikes. It just comes down to the point, now I gotta take all that information, I have to make some decisions, and you're right, not everybody's gonna agree on this. When I was at the building level, I didn't agree everything that the superintendent did when I was at the building level, but everybody has a boss, everybody has to work together on some things, and everybody has choices to make sometimes. But I just know it's the reality of the situation. If we had other options, we'd be doing it. We don't. It unfortunately comes down to, here's the numbers we have to get to. And there's just not really a lot of options out there.
Right, and we're working the parallel paths, right? I mean, we're working referendum, we're working student enrollment, I mean, we're working those things, but they're not gonna fix in the next 5 months.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think all of the above. We go for this number, we go for the bonds, and then I'm still in favor of trying to get the referendum this year. I mean, if we gotta get working on that sooner than later, then I suggest we do so. Even if we decide, if we get to a point where it's not feasible, I still think we try.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I thought we'd already decided that.
I thought we did too.
Yeah.
I thought we did
Well,
too.
the board has to ultimately vote on it and pass a resolution.
But we can't pass a resolution without knowing the details, right? I mean, like, I wouldn't pass a referendum saying I'm gonna do a referendum if the only thing you're saying is, oh, you need to do a referendum.
Well,
Right, I wouldn't know I need to know how much it is and stuff, right?
We agreed to go down the path of starting to get those
Right.
figures together.
And then they said.
While using him to get the
Correct.
information.
Right, and the timeline they
Correct.
presented to
So-
us was go, no-go at the end of June, I think is what it was.
All you've committed to so far is going down the path of the preliminary stuff.
All the research to get to
All
the
the
no-go
research,
decision.
you've brought on policy analytics to start looking at our assessed value. They can help look at, along with Chad, look at the rate you're gonna need to use for a possible referendum, all that stuff, so.
So I would say what you have going on is you've hired all these people.
They're just not.
They're not talking.
Yeah, they gotta get coordinated.
They're all doing their own thing, and what I'm saying is, all the other schools I'm on referendums with, we're all together, but
Yeah.
it's all started with a meeting with the board to present all this information at one time. And that's not happened here. And so I think that's probably why we're all just in limbo going, we don't know what this person's doing or that person's doing.
Well, in the other 24 referendums I ran, this is how we did it. I don't know what we're doing either.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll ask, if you can kind of coordinate that effort with
Yeah.
the three of them
Yeah.
to kind
And
of
we
get
just-
them in a room and, I mean, look, I don't think there's a lot of value in me being part of the discussion to come up with the rate. I mean, I don't have anything to add there, right? But once you come to us with the
Yeah.
rate, we can say, yeah, we think we can sell that or no, we can't, right?
Yep.
Is the thing. I mean, if you came back and said it's gonna be, $3 a thing, we're
Right.
gonna say there's no
They're gonna
chance,
say it's not gonna
right?
happen.
I mean, if it's a reasonable number, I think, everybody here will support it. But, yeah. But I think that's disjointed from the discussion tonight of cost cutting.
And so
At
I
least
think
round
with
one.
that, I think there needs to be some clarity on what Paul's doing, what I'm doing, what policy analytics is doing, and what Kristen's gonna do for us. And then we all kinda know from there.
And who gets that meeting together? Your
I'll
superintendent.
coordinate it.
Okay.
Or do you feel like you got the guidance or whatever you need
You got a
to
lot to
move
do.
forward?
Yeah, I'm good now, now that I know
What?
what my landing point is, yeah.
When are you gonna be having conversations with each building about what you're gonna do?
Very soon. Like,
After break or before?
it could possibly even be this week.
Okay.
This week, though, the nitty-gritty doesn't become a thing until after retirement, though, right? I mean, some of those conversations are gonna be really hard to have in details until the first
Right.
retirement.
Right, when you get, yeah, exactly.
I guess we could just hold you all over on spring break.
No.
Nope.
Or do you
Okay.
go about it
But-
assuming nobody retires and you know the number?
We already have some retirement.
But you don't,
However many you can get out of it.
like, whatever the plan comes up, 4 people, 6 people, whatever, right? You're not telling them until closer to May after you know their retirement. So I agree with Nick, you gotta know that, cause maybe you don't have to do anything, non-voluntarily, right? Because maybe you get 6 retirements and then we're like, okay, now we gotta figure out how to cover.
It's just, it takes a lot of head planning
Yeah.
to start,
No,
because we have papers coming in from kids saying, we want this class, we want this class, we want this class. It takes a lot of preparing. So I'm not saying that we're gonna be having the conversations with the adults before May.
right,
It's to prepare us.
I see what you're
It's to
saying. Okay.
prepare the staff. Or
Right.
not to prepare the staff.
Yeah,
It's to
admin.
prepare the administration, what we're planning for
Right.
the next year.
Well, I'm assuming we're already to the point that probably some of those extra classes, we're not offering them, right? We're not gonna have the
extra
manpower
classes
to
are-
do it.
They're only art, band, and fire. So we got fine arts, that's all I can cut.
That's all we can cut.
And PE.
So, that'd be 4 staff members, right?
well, I guess as a board, are we in agreement, like, option 2 is the option we're going?
The
7
money-
to
the money
750,
figure.
800,000, I mean, like in that range, 650 to 800 or something like
I'd say
that.
the money part, but I'm not necessarily sold on exactly why.
Right,
We're not gonna,
We'll fight that
But
one.
that's,
we're not gonna have any say in that though, right? You're just bringing a plan and we're voting on the plan, yes or no, right? You're bringing a plan,
Mm-hmm.
we either vote it through or
Vote
we.
yes or no for it.
Yes or no?
Yep.
Yep.
Because we're getting too much into the, well, I don't wanna do the perf because I have perf and I think it's great.
right.
I mean,
I know about, no vote.
well, we have to vote.
I know, I'm just saying, there may be a no vote, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's, you know,
if it doesn't pass,
3
that
to
tells
2,
me
4
I've
to
gotta go
1.
back and, I guess, tweak some things to get a yes vote based off of discussion.
well, I guess the other option is we just shut doors.
And in the meantime, we're gonna pursue the taxable bond as well, correct?
So we wanna go down that road.
I mean, I would support doing that as kind of a stopgap, but not as the
Stopgap.
primary funding mechanism, if that makes sense.
I think it's a good way to go.
I think
Yeah,
we have to.
based off of what I've seen, the numbers Mariah and I have looked at, I would say yes, we need to do that.
Do you
And
guys all?
Kristen already has a timeline, Steve's working on that timeline right now.
I mean, my thought is that we go down the taxable bond route as the insurance money and kind of the buffer, right? But not like, oh, let's do that and not do anything else, right? It's the, having the background in case we need it. So it's that, cuts, and then coordinate the referendum.
And that could potentially be feathered into this, what we vote on as well, right? I mean, you could say, we couldn't get to this figure, but if we use this percentage of these bonds, we can get there.
I think it gives you the buffer, probably, right?
Yeah. No?
Because you can't use the
You can't
bond
get them
money.
till,
We're not gonna get it, and you can't use it on salaries.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna only be
gotcha,
I
right.
think you're making the
used
cuts
to
no matter
move
what.
money
Yeah.
that we should have
The
spent
bond
or
is
could
gonna
have
be there
spent.
from a
Yeah,
cash
you
flow
can't
standpoint.
spend it on
That-
Exactly, you gotta
salaries.
structurally fix the spend, but
Yep.
you're ensuring the cash flow with the bond,
Yep.
Correct.
is what you're doing.
And we may end up not using it on anything, and you guys down the road could do it on projects, use it for
That,
projects.
I mean, that's really the best scenario, right? That way we're not living on credit.
That's exactly right. It's just there as a what.
Right, but it keeps us solvent and it keeps us
us
paying the
solvent
bills
From a cash standpoint.
from a cash standpoint.
Yes.
So is that the direction? In my mind, that's the
It's
direction.
the only choice we got.
Okay. Does that get you what you need?
Yeah. Yep. And you did have, I emailed you the cash flows that Mariah showed based off of each option, kind of where we would be in both education, operations, and rainy day, based off the decision. So I would say, since we're going kind of middle of the road, you should probably be looking at kind of the option 2 scenario of the cash flow of where we would be and that sort of thing.
And I did put the 1.9
Yes.
from the taxable bond in all the cash flows. There's no referendum money ever into that though.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we have to look to optimize every administrator and every position.
And
every
then,
ounce of
Can we
waste.
get one of them contracts like Microsoft gave?
No kidding, up in LaPorte?
Yeah, I mean, that was nice.
Yep.
Probably could've.
If you're watching.
Did any of you go to the meeting Thursday night
I did not.
what meeting?
The Google meeting?
with Google Meeting?
Google. They had a meeting here in our middle school gym.
They should have, you should have been there, at least bending the ear of a few of those folks. You know, we got 200,000, and just being, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what Google has, and, we can't get we can't get any money to do pay teachers' salaries and things like that, but there's projects that need to be done. I could see them paying for new chillers, and we're not having to take it out of operational and things like that. But the thing that was told to me, you've got to set your priorities of things that you would like to see done. And then I've got the number of the lady who is strictly dealing with the community, and education's part of that, and setting up a meeting. But there's no need to do that until we come up with what our priorities, what we think are important things that need to be done. And like I said, it can't be like on salaries or anything like that, but greenhouses, football field, all these kind of things.
We had a parent that attended, that advocated for the middle school because they went to the family council meeting the night before and knew that they were like, what's your dream project to be done here? And I said, well, I'd love for the library to be redone. And she went, she'd already emailed the person, and then she went and talked to the lady. So, I mean, there are people out there that will advocate for us with Google, and they were very open to that
Right,
idea.
and the young lady is very open to that. She was excited. Of course, our FFA directors were there, to kind of say thank you, and here's one positive thing that they're doing for the community. And I'm sure Google, just for PR, would like to do more things, like they've done at some other school corporations, but that you have not because you ask not, but you just can't go willy-nilly on it, so.
Jack, would you mind forwarding me her number as well?
Yeah, I will.
I mean, or
Sure.
email, whatever it is. 'Cause I mean, if nothing else, it might be nice to drop a note and say
Yeah.
thanks. I couldn't make it on Thursday. I had other
Yeah,
things going
I
on,
mean,
but.
it was good, it was.
But no, I mean,
I don't wanna say too much to
Right.
negate it, but.
But no, we should ask them every time.
It was a PR
Yeah.
ploy.
All right.
At cookies, Google cookies, I must say.
Did we charge them about 100,000 for the?
Well,
meeting?
I don't know, I was wondering if we charged them for the use of the facilities, but anyway.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, like that FFA donation, that's
Yeah.
that's significant,
It's
right?
significant.
They probably
And
just
the
became the
two-
best funded program in the
The
school.
two ladies are very excited about that, but we've
Yeah.
got other programs,
What that from Mitchell's?
so.
I thought it was.
That's the green money.
Do what? No, that's different.
It's
It was in
So
addition to, right?
we've had two donations from Google. We had the initial 175,000,
Right.
and then from the green was 200,000, and that was to FFA and agricultural
That's what I'm talking
education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it grand.
No, the green money.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
So, anyway, I mean, I don't know how we do it, who does it, but if we're gonna have to go after that money, if we don't go after it, somebody else is going after it. And it's not just, even though they're taking a big chunk out of our property, they're not just gonna deal with Monroe-Gregg School Corporations.
Right.
If Martinsville gets there first, so. Well, that's up for another discussion, I guess. I move we adjourn.
Lost my sheet.
Get you kind of what you need.
Yeah, I'm good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion Passes 4-0.
Thank you, sir. These are always scintillating, aren't they?